talk about a movie. This is the idea. Hello, I'm Dominick Brascia. You probably know me from such movies as Friday the 13th, Part 5. Yes, I was the fat kid. We got a clip of that? We got a clip of the guy who won an Oscars movie, but we don't have. Well, maybe we'll get a clip. I love movies. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about movies. And besides talking about movies, every show we're going to have a Hollywood insider. And I'm very, very excited because we have a great Hollywood insider. He's an Oscar winner, an Academy Award winner. He's looking at me thinking, what the hell am I doing? We're talking to Dominick Brascia. He was in Friday the... I was in Friday the... So, no. But if you like movies, stay there. And let's start off with a clip from his Academy Award winning movie, Visas and Virtue. Let's take a look.
My husband will ask you some questions. Please respond to every question with yes. With one exception. Banzai Nippon.
Do you have travel tickets to take you beyond Japan?
Your Excellency, sir. Yes. Yes.
Do you have accommodations for your stay in Japan?
Yes.
Do you have enough money for the trip?
Yes.
Do you have relatives living in Japan?
Yes.
Do you speak Japanese, Mr. Rosen?
Yes. Banzai Nippon.
And you, Mrs. Rosen, do you speak Japanese?
Banzai Nippon.
And the man who directed, acted, well, he did everything. I think he was even serving the lunches on the set. He's an actor, a director, a producer, member of the Academy Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, also does theater. Oscar winner, please welcome Chris Tashima. I said right, Tashima?
You did. Thank you, Tashima.
Tashima. And I'm Dominick Brascia. Can you say it?
Brascia?
Brascia. Yeah, we got it.
We practiced off camera.
We did. Chris, it's really great to talk to you because you've done, when talking about your career, you've done everything from a wacky comedy like Once Bitten to Oscar-winning material. And isn't that what Hollywood's all about now? You got to be versatile.
It's whatever you can get is for me. I mean, whatever comes along, I'm willing to do. If I'm lucky enough to get involved with a comedy, I mean, who wouldn't love to do that? I tend to have drifted more towards drama and dramatic history and storytelling, that kind of thing. But it's just a matter of trying to stay busy and keep the creative juices flowing and whatever you can do.
Seems like there's a lot of work out there. You know, it seems like the studios only come out with like maybe 10, 11 films a year. But with all the independence and everything, is that an illusion? Are there more movies out there?
Oh, I think that's where the more interesting stuff is happening. And I think it's because of what we're experiencing as the digital revolution that has just opened the doors for anyone who would have been an outside filmmaker, an independent filmmaker, to have access to equipment and all kinds of resources. And if they've got an interesting story, you can make a movie. And like you said, the studios, of course, their bottom line is money, and so they try to, use formulas that have worked in the past and then concentrate on summer blockbusters.
Like in this movie you did, Visas and Virtue, I'm assuming you had a superhero in it, because you need a superhero in a movie.
We had a form of a superhero, super humanitarian, I would say.
Okay.
No, the story came along in the mid-90s. It was a Holocaust rescuer. And someone I had never heard of, someone who I discovered had taken some amazing risks to save lives during World War II. So it just became something that a story we had to tell.
They say making a movie in Hollywood, it used to be as hard as having a baby, because it's the hardest thing you're ever going to do. And it's really hard. And I want to ask you how you got together and found the money, got the crew together, found the actors for your Oscar-winning film. But first, this guy won an Oscar. So you won an Oscar. I just want to take a couple of seconds, if I could just kiss your hand, Could I just kiss your hand? I've never kissed the hand of an Oscar winner. Maybe you could rub my head. Maybe something. Maybe I can win an Oscar. You know, I
hope so.
Does it rub off there at all, Chris? Maybe.
We'll have to see now. I think that's the first time I've been asked that, but I hope it works.
I feel like next time I go for a movie, I'll go, I want to win an Oscar. It might work, you know. I've done movies that I'm really proud of, and movies that are just like, oh, this is a werewolf movie. Do you know when you're doing a movie that this is quality? This is a good film.
I think you know. Well, first of all, for myself, I'd have to separate from films that I direct as opposed to films that I act in.
Right.
The films that I focus on as a director, because I'm putting that much effort in and making it myself, producing it myself, you know, it's something that I obviously feel is very strongly about as a story, and it has a purpose for, you know, us telling this piece of history. But the films that I'm acting in, where you get hired in, sometimes you really don't know. Even the good ones, you know, you could think they're going to be brilliant, and they turn out awful. And films that you didn't know about, had questions about, turn out to somehow, you know, be something really, really special. So my philosophy is just to trust the director and go with whatever he or she is doing, and hope for the best, and just do your own work.
I've done schlocky films, and as an actor, and I say to people when I'm preparing for a Friday the 13th, I'm doing the same preparation I would be doing if I'm doing a Steven Spielberg thing, and that's what you have to do. And some actors don't realize that. Okay, we got to hear the story, because making a movie and then winning an Oscar, this is like one of the hardest things ever. Did it start out as a stage play?
It was
in Virtue?
A stage play. It was a one-act play. It was a 12-page play that someone I knew had written, and a very small, I think maybe it was about 25-minute long, one-act play in a little black box theater in North Hollywood, and wasn't much more than that initially. But we realized, you know, how moving the piece was that he had written, how important this man's history was and his story was, and how unknown it was. So the idea to make a film so that we could do more than just in that little black box for just, you know, 4 weeks, I think we ran. That wasn't my idea to make the film, but I realized that it was a great idea to do, because that would be a way for us to then just share it with the world. So
it's a great idea, it's a great film, but how do you get the hundreds of thousands of dollars? How do you go to somebody and say, listen, this is a great film, give me $100,000? How do they do that?
You know, it's I think it's the same. Of course, we made this film now almost, 18 years ago. We filmed it in 1996, so things were technologically were different back then. But basically, filmmaking is it a good story or not? And because I felt we had that, and sort of a purpose behind it, it allowed me to just go to everyone I knew and ask them for help, because it wasn't so much that we needed the money, we needed just the people behind us, because we actually, you know, everyone worked for free on that film. Was
this your first big film?
Oh, yeah, it was. I had done some really small little student films before, but this was a huge leap in terms of having a professional crew and professional actors. You do a film. I mean, my first film was a horror film, because they were selling, and everyone's like, this is not going to work. You're not going to work. And then a year and a half later, you're sitting in a movie theater, and you see United Artists presents this crappy film that every one of your friends is saying, you're making a big mistake. Did you have that? Were there people out there that were like, I love you, Chris, but, you know, maybe you should think about getting married, have 6 kids, and open a bakery? I think I was really lucky that there was something about this project all along. It was sort of just blessed all along its journey, from the initial idea to our first screening to everything that followed. I had maybe a couple people I talked to suggest this or that about, you know, changing the script or something, but...
Have a superhero! Is there any way you can get a werewolf in this movie? Can you get a werewolf?
Not quite that, but, you know, that's an interesting thing to think about. it just happened to be one of those perfect projects, and the people that came on board were with us all along and didn't question me, even though this was sort of my first film, and I had veterans working for me that were wanting to do it just because of the importance of the story. So I just was lucky that it went that way.
Chris, what I want to do is I want to take a quick break, and then I want you to briefly tell us this story. I want to talk about film. And then I want to talk about what it's like to go back to those people and say, I got an Oscar. I want to know about that. And plus, we're going to get controversial here. I notice you're an Asian. I'm going to ask you about that. Controversy. What's it like to be an Asian actor, filmmaker? Is it easier to play Whoopi Goldberg? We'll talk about that and more. Stay right where you are. This is Talk About a Movie.
Mama, Japanese planes. They're bombing us. We saw them in the trees. Tommy, run!
It's my Jap shooter. You watch your step.
Let him go!
Hold it right there, fish boy.
Back to Talk About a Movie, where we talk about a movie, and we're talking about a special movie, an Oscar-winning movie. My special guest is an Oscar winner, Academy Award. I don't know why it sounds bad. Academy Award winner, Chris Tashima. Chris, welcome back.
Thank you.
So, let's talk about a movie. In 5 sentences, tell me the movie. Tell me what Visas in Virtue is.
It's about a real-life Holocaust rescuer.
Who's the character?
Tsunei Sugihara. He's often referred to as the Japanese Schindler.
Oh, from like Schindler's List. Okay.
Yeah, he was a diplomat stationed in Lithuania in 1940. One morning, just hundreds of refugees started showing up outside of his consulate, asking him to write visas to allow them to escape Europe. He wired Tokyo. Tokyo told him, don't do it. He realized he had no choice, and he decided to defy his government and just follow his conscience, and issued the visas, as many as he could do, for about 3 weeks until he was arrested.
He was arrested?
Well, the consulate was shut down and he was removed. He was restationed and he was arrested at the end of the war, but he was able to do it for 16 hours a day for 3 weeks, issuing over 2,000 visas, allowing possibly between 6,000 and 10,000 individuals to escape. So it's a remarkable story.
You know how I know it's remarkable? This is weird. I'm being totally upfront. When you started telling me this story, I started to get chills. When I thought about that, the Holocaust and people trying to get out, and this guy disobeying his government, it seems, okay, we're sitting here years later, it seems like no-brainer, that's a great movie. But in the beginning, some people, what was it? Well, here's an idea, what if at the end he does this, or what if it's a happy ending? Did you get people offering ways to make it better?
We didn't. It was an untold piece of history, and people just were absorbing everything that we had, and it was really only a little bit. I mean, in a 25-minute film, you can only tell a little piece of it. Right. I think it just fascinated people. We were also really lucky to get in touch with an actual Sugihara survivor, a woman who received a visa from him when she was 17 years old. We found her in Huntington Beach. She invited us to her house, and she became a really good friend of the production, and she had a cameo in the film. Her name's Hani Vogelite. She passed away maybe about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was just amazing to have sort of a living, proof of this man's work and why we were all there making this film.
So, hello, Chris. The film's got an Oscar nomination. Chris, did you go to the Oscars?
I did. In fact, I tried to crash the press conference where they announced the nominees, but it was really tight security, so I didn't get in. But right after that, I went in and found out we were nominated, and then actually went across the street and used a phone booth. And this is how old that was. I called my mom and called our producer and said, we're Oscar nominees. So the next thing we had to do was try to get tickets to the show.
Wait a minute, wait. Your film is nominated for an Oscar, and it's a hard getting tickets to.
Well, we wanted everyone to go.
Oh, so you wanted your Aunt Sheila, Betty.
We wanted anyone, you know, as many as we could.
Yeah,
we managed to scrounge up. I think we had an entourage of about 12, which was pretty good for a short film, and it included my parents, producers, cast, people from the film. So it was just an amazing evening.
Did your father stop calling you a loser, Chris? This is what we want to know. Because my father still called me a loser, even when I was in Friday the 13th.
He stopped for a while. Now this is years ago, but no, it was just great to have them there. Yeah. It had been years and years of kind of struggling along, being an actor and saying I want to be a filmmaker and this and that before some kind of proof of success. So. I was really, it meant a lot for me that my parents were there.
I tell people the story of I was in Hollywood, and there was this guy with bad skin, and he was there for 10 years in Hollywood doing all these little roles, and he wanted to hang out with us, and because it was like, and then he did a movie called Thelma and Louise, and the guy with bad skin is Brad Pitt. Now Brad Pitt was there for 10 years doing small pieces of work.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And there's times when you just think, well, are they trying to tell me something? Should I move on to something else? And how long do you hold out? And then something comes along and kind of makes you feel like, yes, I'm in the right business, and then it dries up for a while. So yeah, it comes and goes.
We talked a little off camera about when I went to Hollywood, I was a young fat guy, and that was in a way it was bad for getting girls, but it was good for getting work, because there was 50 of us chubby guys, and we all knew each other. It was like, oh, I hope Dan gets it, I hope Mark gets it. You're an Asian. Is that a plus, a negative?
I think you can view it and say, see that it makes it really tough. And you can look at the history and look at, what we see out there and go like, well, there's no roles for us. But it's tough for everybody, and it's tough in a lot of different ways. And there are pluses, and I got to say I owe a lot of what I've been able to do to an Asian American theater company, East West Players, where there was just a lot of support, and it was a place where we as actors could get a lot of onstage experience and some training and network and get to know each other. And I drew from that a lot, and we do. It's similar, I'll go to an audition, and I know all the guys there, and they're my friends. And I'm happy if they get it, and I don't, because it's not my decision or theirs, but it's my friend and getting work.
We'd always get frightened when a new fat guy showed up. Who's this new fat guy? He's from Idaho. He's here. When a new Asian guy shows up, you go, oh, who's this guy? We'll get this guy out of here.
I still see them, even now I'm in an older age bracket, and there's guys that have either been on the East Coast and moved to LA, or they actually come from Asia, or there's new people all the time, and I end up getting to know them or working with them. So. It's kind of funny. You notice them and you see them around at the same auditions.
One of the things I found really, really fascinating was that I talked to friends who are black. They were black. They're black then and they're black now. And they told me growing up that whenever they would watch a character, they'd be watching something, and if there was a black character on it, everybody, Jane, you gotta watch the show. There's somebody, and like the whole neighborhood would get around to see. Oh my goodness, one of the detectives is black, and I never had that being a white guy, but is it that way in the Asian community too?
Oh yeah, and the same thing is true, reading the credits, because we would often have a lot of more people in the crew than on screen. You can tell a Japanese name or a Chinese name, and you would notice it. And that's actually how I got Hiro Narita on Vice and Virtue. Hiro Narita when we made the film, he was a veteran of huge Hollywood blockbusters. I mean, he did a Star Trek movie and he did Disney movies, and I had grown up seeing his name in the credits. And he was a Japanese American guy, and he was the cinematographer on major studio films. So, I admired that. And then I had an opportunity to make a film, and so I called him up and said, "I'm making this film. Will you help?" And amazingly, you know, he said yes. He didn't know me. He didn't know my track record, but he had heard the story of Sugihara, and that's what appealed to him.
So what are movies? This is a base, and we're going to talk in a couple seconds about your new movie coming out really soon called Under the Blood Red Sun. But somebody from outer space lands here, and they're like, so what do you guys do? Well, we do this, and we go to the movies. What are movies? How do you explain movies to an alien from planet Zongo?
I don't know about the planet Zongo or, you know, that group. I mean, the work that I do are you know, they're pieces of history.
Right.
For me. They're a way to explore some experience that you really can't any other way, because they're sort of like the humanity part of something that happened a long time ago, that allows you to feel what it was like to be there, to understand, you know, their stories. So it's, you know, maybe not the facts and the dates and specifics of history, but it's the human experience of what happened, and it's a magic thing that we can we can share. That is really like nothing else.
It's like when I think about it, I think of it sort of like a group of people sit in a room and we all share the same dream for an hour. And for that hour, it's not, you're not the fat guy. Because when I see a movie, I always feel like I'm in it, but I'm not the fat guy. I am Brad Pitt, or I am Whoopi Goldberg, who's being treated badly on the plantation. And for those hour and a half, it's magical.
It is. If it's done well, it's really like nothing else. I think that's what appealed to me when I was, you know, in junior high, and somehow said I want to be a filmmaker. And it actually was. It was in high school, and it was, you know, the first Star Wars movie. Yeah. And just the experience of seeing something on that scope with that much imagination and the way it was moving, the whole world at the time, you know. So I just love the idea of being able to kind of tell stories in that. I got
to tell you, I get disappointed sometimes. There's a movie out right now called Sally. And it's a great movie. What it's about is this woman, she somehow takes a drug and she can use 100% of her brain. And then she knows how to manipulate matter. And at the end of the movie, Chris, we're waiting, we're going to see the meaning of existence, the meaning of life. Sally's getting there. And then I'm like an idiot. This is a movie. They're not going to tell me in a movie the meaning of existence. The movie's going to end some weird way. So sometimes I'm disappointed. Thinking about 2001, A Space Odyssey. At the end, I mean, I remember reading Stanley Kubrick saying, you know, we're putting all these colors because you have to imagine what it is to meet a creature. So do we sometimes expect too much when you talk about political stuff? Do we expect too much from movies sometimes?
Well, I don't know, possibly. You know, I like to trust the audience and know that, well, it's, you know, it's not going to be all the answers to everything. It's not going to give you the meaning of life. You know, it's a piece of entertainment for an hour and a half. So I don't try to worry too much about it. I see how that happens sometimes, but I don't know. I think we get too caught up in it.
Before we talk about a movie you're very proud of called Under the Blood Red Sun, Oscar winner, great movies. What are some of the things you've done that you're like, oh, this isn't, I don't want anyone to know I was in The Werewolf That Ate Singapore.
Well, these days, you know, I think as I'm getting older, it's like I kind of just have fun with those projects I was involved in. I mean, you know, there's a lot of stuff that, and you know, it's just entertainment. And, and that's fine. And, you know, I had fun doing it. It was just what came along. And like I said, you know, you don't know going into it how it's going to turn out, and you can just go in and do your best. I actually feel lucky that there's nothing that I'm like really kind of embarrassed by or worried about, but I'm not going to let that stop me as I go forward. I'm, you know, willing to try to do whatever comes along.
You know, I was a big fat guy. I never thought anyone would ask me to do a nude scene. And I did a movie, and they had, this would be really funny if the big fat guy was naked. So I did the scene. And to this day, I'm totally embarrassed about that because it didn't come out the way I thought it, you know, it was horrible. But part of it is what you said, we have to trust in the filmmaker. Have you ever been really, really disappointed where this could be a great movie, but the guy just doesn't get it or did it wrong?
I think I've been disappointed in projects, you know, that have come along, but you know, I understand how tough it is to make a movie, and you know, I just don't, hold anyone up to perfection and expect that. And sometimes I just admire them for making the film. I mean, they're doing it and I'm not. And so, you got to go out there and at least try it.
Under the Blood Red Sun, what's that about?
It's based on a young adult novel of the same name by Graham Salisbury. And it tells a story of a Japanese-American boy, about 13 years old, living in Honolulu, Hawaii, in 1941. And
now you play the 13-year-old boy, is that right? You play the... What an
I
actor!
auditioned for that.
This is unbelievable! What versatility here, wow!
Digital and all. I play the Papa.
Oh, okay.
And the story is about his world turning upside down after December 7th. And it's a very unique angle to that whole start of the war, told from a local perspective of a Japanese American, and what happened to the community there, what happened to families there, and my character, what happened to many of the community leaders and the heads of households, and basically a lot of the men, is they were arrested. They were arrested that day, December 7th, and they disappeared from the family for sometimes, years. And that's what happens for Tommy, the lead character. His father gets arrested, his mother gets fired, she's a housekeeper. He doesn't know if his Haole friends, his Caucasian friends, are going to still remain his friends. What's going to happen? And this was the fear, nobody knew. So it's an amazing story. I was really lucky to be asked. Everyone else besides me was local from Hawaii. The crew, the cast. It's very authentically told, and it's again a really important piece of history that we don't know about.
So I'm in Texas, and I love movies. I go to a movie once a week at least. And I'm standing there, and I look. There's a line. I know all the movies that are out. I go see all the movies that are current, and there's a line, and it's almost outside the theater, and everybody on the line is black. And I look and I said, "What? Why is all these? This movie is called Tyler Perry's Diary of a Mad Housewife. Who the heck is Tyler Perry?" So I get online. I'm the only white guy in there, and I go in there and I see Tyler Perry's movie, which was brilliant, which was one of his first movies. It told me stuff about the black experience I didn't know, the culture. It was great. And I was the only white guy there. And then eventually Tyler Perry crossed over. Now everybody knows how brilliant he is. In the Asian community, who are the Tyler Perrys that we don't know about, that if you can grab some white guy or some black guys, you want to know what our community does, go look at the Asian Tyler Perry.
It's a little bit different because our community is very divided, and Japanese Americans is a very specific community. It's very different from Koreans and Filipinos and Thai, and so we sort of don't have that kind of unity that African Americans have, and that's something that we struggle with in terms of social causes, because we're so kind of disjointed, and getting us together is difficult. And we also have a lot of people from Asia who come here, and either they're new immigrants, or they've been here a while, but they're originally from, say, Taiwan or somewhere. So we're just kind of spread out. So we actually have quite a few now successful filmmakers like Justin Lin, Ang Lee, who's I think was two or three Oscar winners.
This is my ignorance. Ang Lee, right? Ang Lee, who did Bareback Mountain, Brokeback Mountain, or I Have a Mountain, Want to Buy a Mountain, Let's Look at the Mountain, the sequel.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. He's an amazing filmmaker out of NYU. So we have some really great recognized filmmakers. We also have a lot of independent filmmakers coming up.
And he's being nice because this guy's an Oscar winner. He's talking about all the other great filmmakers. He's won an Oscar. Listen, we've talked about a movie. The movie sounds great. We'll look for Under the Blood Red Sun.
Opens online September 14th.
And I will be the first one going. I can't wait to see the sequel, Under the Blood Red Sun Part 2. Chris, thanks for talking. Thanks for sitting here having a laugh and telling us about what we like. What we like is to talk about a movie. We'll be back. Wait, do I look beautiful? Do I look beautiful? Well, do the best, okay. Oh, we're on! Welcome back to Talk About a Movie. Well, that's what it's about. When you make movies, I always tell actors starting out, the hardest part is getting the job. Once you get the job, there are people who pick out your clothes. There are people who put the makeup on you. If you don't have the accent correct, they hire a coach to teach you the accent. If you don't know where you look, they put lights on you. The hardest part for a young actor is getting the job. But once you get it, you got a beautiful makeup lady making me look beautiful. Hey, we want to thank Chris Tashima for being on the show. He put up with my crazy questions and me mispronouncing his name 16 times, but we want to thank him. And we hope you make this a habit each week to talk about a movie. Till then, I'm Dominick Brascia. Take care, and God bless.